The anniversary party was everything my parents had ever wanted. Elegant restaurant, 50 guests, champagne flowing freely. 38 years of marriage deserved a celebration and they'd spared no expense. I arrived exactly on time wearing my usual simple dress and flats. My sister Christine was already there, draped in designer labels. My brother Paul wore a suit that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Or what they thought was my monthly rent. Andrea. Mom air-kissed both my cheeks. You came. Of course. It's your anniversary. Well, we weren't sure. You've been so distant lately. She glanced at my outfit with barely concealed disappointment. Is that the same dress from Easter? It is. Still fits. Yes, but... She trailed off, patting my arm sympathetically. Well, you're here. That's what matters. Dad was holding court with his golf buddies, laughing about something. He waved when he saw me but didn't come over. Christine swooped in immediately. Andy. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. She hugged me, her perfume overwhelming. How are you? What are you doing again? Data entry. Data analysis for real estate investment. Right. That sounds stable. Good for you. She lowered her voice. Listen, I don't know if Mom told you, but things have been tight for them lately. Dad's retirement account took a hit, and maintaining the house is expensive. So if they seem stressed tonight, that's why. I didn't know things were tight. They've been trying to hide it, but Paul and I noticed. We've both been helping out when we can. You know, covering dinners, helping with bills. She looked at me meaningfully. I know you're not in a position to contribute much, but even small gestures help. I'll keep that in mind. You're sweet. She squeezed my hand and floated away to greet someone else. I found my assigned seat, table 7 near the back with some cousins I barely knew. Not at the family table with my parents and siblings. Message received. Dinner was served. Speeches were made. People toasted my parents' long marriage, their wonderful children, their beautiful life together. I applauded at the right moments and stayed quiet. Between the main course and dessert, Dad stood up with a microphone. Margaret and I want to thank you all for being here tonight, he began. 38 years is a long time, and we're grateful to have shared it with such wonderful friends and family. Everyone smiled and murmured appreciation. But tonight I also want to make an announcement about our future, Dad continued, his tone becoming more serious. Margaret and I have made a difficult decision. We're selling the house. Gasps rippled through the room. The house, a 4-bedroom colonial where they'd raised 3 kids, was as much a part of our family identity as the family name. I know this comes as a shock, Dad said. But the reality is that maintaining a large house at our age has become unsustainable. The upkeep, the property taxes, the utilities, it's too much. So we've decided to downsize to a condo. Something manageable. Something we can afford on a fixed retirement income. Mom stood up beside him. We looked at several places and found a beautiful 2-bedroom at the Riverside Towers. It's perfect for us. Security, maintenance included, 1-floor living. Riverside Towers is very nice, someone called out. It is, Mom agreed. But it's also significantly smaller. Which brings us to the difficult part of this announcement. She looked directly at me. Andrea, honey, this means we can no longer provide the financial support we've been giving you. The room went quiet. All eyes turned to me. I set down my fork carefully. Your father and I have been helping you with rent, car payments and other expenses for several years now, Mom continued. We've been happy to do it, you're our daughter and we love you. But with our new budget constraints, we simply can't afford to continue. We think this is actually a good thing, Dad added. You're 31 years old, Andrea. It's time you learn to stand on your own 2 feet. This will be good for you. Motivating. Christine stood up. Mom, Dad, I think that's really brave. And Andrea, don't worry. Paul and I can help you figure out a budget, maybe find a cheaper apartment. Something more in line with what you can actually afford on your salary, Paul finished. We're family. We'll help you through this transition. The pity in the room was suffocating. Everyone looking at me, the poor struggling daughter who needed her parents' financial support at 31. I took a sip of water and waited for the moment to be right. I have a question, I said calmly. Of course, honey, Mom said. We know this is a lot to process. You said you're moving to the Riverside Towers? Yes, a lovely 2-bedroom on the 12th floor. And not the Metropolitan, or the Parkside complex. Dad looked confused. No, the Riverside. Why? Just clarifying. And you've already signed a lease. We're signing next week, Mom said. The unit is move-in ready. We're very excited. I set down my water glass. That's interesting, because I'll need to know which property manager to call about your lease terms. What do you mean? Dad asked. I said clearly, I need to know which of my property managers to contact. Since I own the Riverside Towers. The silence was absolute. You what? Christine's voice was faint. I own the Riverside Towers. All 240 units. I bought it 3 years ago as part of my real estate investment portfolio. That's impossible, Paul said. Andrea, if this is some kind of joke. I pulled out my phone, opened my property management app and turned the screen toward my parents. Riverside Towers. Purchased April 2021 for $87 million. Current valuation, $124 million. Occupancy rate, 96%. Your unit, 1207 if I'm remembering the listing correctly, is currently leased to a couple who are relocating next month. Which is why it's available. Dad took my phone with shaking hands. He stared at the screen, his face going pale. This can't be real, Mom whispered. It's very real. Would you like to see the rest of my portfolio? I swiped to another screen. The Metropolitan, purchased 2019. The Parkside Complex, purchased 2020. The Harborview, purchased 2022. In total, I own 47 residential and commercial properties in this city, valued at approximately $3.7 billion. Billion. Christine sat down hard. You're saying you're a billionaire? My net worth is approximately $4.2 billion, yes. The properties are my primary assets, but I also have investment holdings and liquid capital. How? Paul's voice cracked. How is that possible? I started investing in real estate when I was 23. Small properties at first, duplexes, small apartment buildings. I lived frugally, saved aggressively and reinvested every profit. Each acquisition was larger than the last. After 8 years I've built a substantial portfolio. Dad was still staring at my phone. But we've been sending you money. $3,000 a month for the past 4 years. We thought you needed it. I never asked you to send it. But you accepted it. No, I didn't. You started depositing it into my old checking account, the one I opened in college and stopped using years ago. I didn't even know about the deposits until about 6 months ago when I finally closed that account. There's $144,000 sitting in an escrow account waiting to be returned to you. Mom's champagne glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. Nobody moved to clean it up. You have to be lying, Christine said desperately. People don't just accidentally become billionaires. This is insane. I pulled up my email and found the message from my attorney. This is from my legal team at Morrison & Associates. They handle all my property acquisitions. Would you like me to forward it to you? Or perhaps you'd prefer to speak with Richard Morrison directly. He's actually here tonight. He's sitting at table 3. I gestured across the room. A distinguished man in his 60s raised his glass slightly, acknowledging me. Richard Morrison? Paul's voice was strangled. The Richard Morrison, one of the top real estate attorneys in the state. He's represented me for 6 years. Excellent attorney. Very thorough. This is crazy, Christine said. You live in a studio apartment. You drive a 15-year-old car. You dress like, she gestured at my simple outfit, like someone who shops at outlet malls. I live in a penthouse that I own in a building that I own. The studio you saw when you helped me move 8 years ago? That was temporary housing while my penthouse was being renovated. And I never corrected your assumption because honestly, Christine, you didn't ask. None of you did. What about the car? Paul demanded. Paid off. Runs perfectly. Gets good mileage. Why would I replace it? Because you're a billionaire. Exactly. I'm a billionaire who understands that wealth is built by acquiring assets, not by spending money on depreciating status symbols. I looked at Paul's expensive suit and Christine's designer handbag. But you wouldn't understand that. The room was still silent, everyone processing. My aunt had her phone out, frantically searching my name. Other guests were doing the same. Oh my God, my aunt breathed. Andrea Thornton. Real estate mogul. Forbes 40 under 40. There are articles about you. Lots of articles. Thornton. Mom asked. You changed your name? I use Thornton professionally. My middle name. It provides some privacy and separation between my personal and business life. Or it hides who you are from your own family, Christine snapped. Can you blame me? Look at tonight. You announced to 50 people that you can't afford to support me anymore. You implied I've been leeching off you for years. You offered to help me find a cheaper apartment because you assumed I couldn't afford my current one. I stood up. You made those assumptions without ever once asking me about my actual financial situation. Because you never told us. Dad's voice rose. I tried to. 8 years ago when I bought my first building I called you. Do you remember, Dad? His face said he didn't. I told you I'd purchased a 12-unit apartment building. You laughed and said I was getting in over my head. You told me real estate was too risky for someone my age. You said I should sell it and get a real job. I was trying to protect you. You were trying to control me. And when I didn't take your advice you wrote me off. You decided I was making a mistake and you stopped asking questions about my life. That's not true, Mom protested. Isn't it? When's the last time any of you asked about my work? Really asked, wanting details. Silence. That's what I thought. I picked up my purse. For the record, I'm happy to have you as tenants at the Riverside Towers. The unit you're looking at is lovely, great view, updated appliances, good natural light. Rent is $3,400 a month, which is actually below market rate for that size and location. $3,400? Dad looked stricken. We can't afford that. Sure you can. You were sending me $3,000 a month. Add the money you'll save by not maintaining a house and it's easily affordable. But we thought we were helping you. You thought wrong. But the good news is, now you can use that money for your own retirement. Isn't that what tonight was supposed to be about? Downsizing for your future. Mom was crying now. Andrea, please. You have to understand we thought we were doing the right thing. We thought you were struggling. Why? Because I live simply? Because I don't brag about my success? Because I don't need to prove my worth with expensive things? Because you never said anything. Christine exploded. You let us believe you were barely getting by. You let us pity you. You let Dad give that whole speech about cutting you off, knowing you didn't need their money. That's cruel, Andrea. That's deliberately cruel. Is it? Or did I simply allow you to reveal who you really are? People who judge success by appearances. People who assumed the worst about me without asking. People who were perfectly comfortable publicly humiliating their daughter and sister because they thought she was in no position to object. I looked at my father. You stood up at your anniversary party and announced you were cutting me off. In front of 50 people. You framed it as tough love, as good parenting. But it was humiliation. You wanted everyone to see that you were doing the hard thing, even if it meant embarrassing your daughter. I didn't mean it that way. Yes, you did. And that tells me everything I need to know about how you view me. I turned to leave. Richard Morrison stood up and quietly followed me. As we reached the door, I heard my mother call out. Andrea, wait. We need to talk about this. I paused and turned back. We can talk. But not tonight. Tonight was supposed to be about celebrating your marriage. I've already disrupted it enough. When? Dad asked desperately. Call me next week. We'll have lunch. We'll discuss your lease at the Riverside and we'll discuss our relationship moving forward. And the money? Mom asked. The money we sent you? Keep it. Consider it back rent for all the years you thought you were supporting me. Or donate it to charity. I don't need it. I walked out of the restaurant with Richard beside me. That was dramatic, he said mildly. That was overdue. The escrow account with their money, do you really want them to keep it? No. Set up a college fund for their future grandchildren. Irrevocable trust. They can't touch it, but it'll be there for the next generation. Generous. They're still my parents. They're just flawed. Aren't we all? We reached my car. My 15-year-old Honda that ran perfectly and had 0 car payments. You know they're going to call. Probably tonight, Richard said. I know. And you're going to forgive them. Eventually. After they prove they can see me for who I actually am instead of who they assumed I was. That's fair. He smiled. For what it's worth, I'm proud of you. Building what you've built at your age. It's extraordinary. Thank you, Richard. Though perhaps next time you want to reveal your success to your family, we could do it somewhere less public? I laughed. Where's the fun in that? He chuckled and headed to his own car. I sat in mine for a moment, hands on the steering wheel, processing the evening. My phone started buzzing. Text messages pouring in. Christine, we need to talk. Call me. Paul, this is insane. Are you really a billionaire? Mom, sweetheart, please. Let's discuss this calmly. Dad, I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. Please call. I silenced my phone and drove home, to my penthouse in my building in the portfolio I'd spent 8 years building while my family assumed I was failing. The next morning I woke to 17 missed calls and 43 text messages. I ignored most of them and went to my office, the corporate headquarters of Thornton Properties, where my team of 47 employees managed my real estate empire. Morning, Miss Thornton, my assistant said. Your 9 o'clock is here. Thanks, Jessica. I spent the morning in meetings, reviewing acquisition targets, analyzing market trends, planning renovations for 3 buildings in my portfolio. This was my real life. The life my family had no idea existed. At noon, Jessica knocked on my door. Your mother is in the lobby. She doesn't have an appointment, but she's insisting she needs to see you. I sighed. Send her up. Mom entered my office and stopped dead, staring. The space was exactly what you'd expect for a successful CEO. Corner office, city views, expensive furniture, awards and recognition plaques on the walls. Andrea, this is my office. Have a seat. She sat down slowly, still looking around in amazement. I had no idea. I know. Why didn't you tell us? Show us. Would you have believed me if I had? If I'd invited you here 3 years ago and said, look mom, I'm a billionaire with a real estate empire, what would you have said? She didn't answer immediately. I might have thought you were exaggerating. You would have thought I was lying. Or confused. Or mistaking owning one building for having an empire. You'd already decided I wasn't successful, Mom. Nothing I said would have changed that without proof you couldn't dismiss. So last night, that was you providing proof. That was me getting tired of being underestimated. Mom's eyes filled with tears. We hurt you. For years we hurt you. Yes. I don't know how to fix that. Start by seeing me. Really seeing me. Not the daughter you imagined but the woman I actually am. A billionaire real estate mogul. A person who built something she's proud of. The net worth is a consequence, not the achievement. Mom looked out the window at the city below. The Riverside Towers. You really own it? I really do. Along with 46 other properties. I'm the largest private real estate owner in the city. And you were going to let us move in without telling us you owned it? I was going to charge you fair market rent and be a good landlord. What you knew or didn't know about my ownership wasn't relevant. That seems, I don't know, deceptive. Is it? You chose the building. You negotiated the lease. You thought you were dealing with a property management company which you were. Mine. I don't see the deception. You would have been our landlord. Our daughter would have been our landlord and we wouldn't have known. Would that have bothered you? He thought about it. I think it would have bothered your father. His pride. Dad's pride is his problem, not mine. Andrea. Mom, I love you. I love Dad and Christine and Paul. But I'm done managing your assumptions and protecting your pride. I built something extraordinary and I'm not going to apologize for it or hide it just because it makes you uncomfortable. We don't want you to hide it. We just wish we'd known. You could have known. You could have asked. We should have asked, she admitted. We should have been curious about your life instead of making assumptions. Yes, you should have. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Mom asked, what happens now? That depends. Can you accept who I am? Can you respect my choices even when they don't make sense to you? Can you see my success as real instead of always looking for the catch? I can try. Then we start there. We start with trying. And the Riverside Towers? You can still move in if you want. But I'll need you to go through the standard application process. Credit check, references, the works. No special treatment. Even though you're our daughter? Especially because I'm your daughter. I run a professional operation, Mom. Everyone follows the same rules. She smiled slightly. You're really not going to make this easy, are you? Why should I? Fair enough. She stood up. Can I give you a hug? I hesitated then nodded. She hugged me tightly. I'm proud of you, she whispered. I should have said that years ago. But I'm saying it now. I'm so proud of who you've become. Thank you. She pulled back. Your father wants to apologize in person. Can he come by? Next week. Set up an appointment through Jessica. An appointment with my own daughter? An appointment with a busy CEO who has a schedule to maintain. Mom laughed. A real laugh. You've changed. No, Mom. I'm exactly who I've always been. You're just finally seeing it. Over the next month I had conversations with each family member. Some went better than others. Christine struggled the most with the revelation, angry that I'd deceived them for so long. Paul was mostly impressed and wanted investment advice. Dad was a mix of pride and embarrassment, struggling with the fact that his daughter was more financially successful than he'd ever been. But slowly, gradually we found a new normal. One where they asked questions instead of making assumptions. One where my success was acknowledged instead of dismissed. One where I was seen. My parents did move into the Riverside Towers. They went through the application process, paid their deposits, signed their lease. They're good tenants, pay on time, don't complain much, take good care of their unit. And once a month I have dinner with them. Not in their condo, that would blur boundaries I've carefully established. But at a restaurant as equals, as adults who are rebuilding a relationship on honest terms. Because that's what I wanted all along. Not their awe at my net worth. Not their shock at my success. Just their willingness to see me, know me, and respect me for who I actually am. It took a dramatic revelation at their anniversary party to get there. But sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes people need to be shocked into seeing what was right in front of them all along. Maybe.